Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video, and man, oh man, this Ubisoft saga is actually insane. As we talked about yesterday, Assassin's Creed Shadows has been delayed, and it will be a day one Steam title. It's a very interesting story to cover with that game because I don't know how much of that delay is tied to further polishing the game. The game is supposed to be out, or it was supposed to be out in like 6 weeks. At this point, I feel like you would have had a much clearer idea on whether or not the game was needing to be delayed based on a polishing issue and a bug issue way earlier than that. To me, it comes across like a little bit of time for Ubisoft to rebuild their brand, because right now, I think Ubisoft's public perception is absolutely in the toilet, and with the delay of Assassin's Creed Shadows, they are doing a lot of things that are consumer friendly. I think Ubisoft has a long way to go to earn the consumer's trust back because they destroyed it over the course of a decade. We have covered a lot of the instances of Ubisoft crapping all over the players for how many years now. It has been quite the saga. However, one of their major things that they will be foregoing is locking their games to the Epic Game Store or Ubisoft Connect. They are releasing all of their forthcoming games onto Steam day one, starting with Assassin's Creed Shadows. This is a fairly big shift, but also something that we've seen publisher after publisher after publisher do. They leave Steam for a while. Steam, honestly, and this is why Valve and Steam are multi-billion-dollar corporations, I would be far more petty. I would be like, bro, you're leaving me and now you want to come crawling back? Ultimately, Valve realizes it's no sweat off their back. They're going to take the games that sign Epic Games exclusivity deals. They're going to take Ubisoft back. They're raking in money hand over fist, and it's no big deal to them. And honestly, I wish I could operate on that level of lacking pettiness, but I would definitely be a little bit salty. However, again, that's why I'm not running a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Star Wars Outlaws was one of those games that dropped back in August. Ubisoft actually sent me an early copy of the game. I played it. I did not like the game. I will be transparent with you guys. I thought the game was pretty bad. As an open-world Star Wars title, I thought there were some cool, like, Star Wars themes to it, but ultimately, I thought the gameplay was rather lackluster. I thought the stealth was terrible. And I just didn't enjoy that game all too much, but the game had a fairly mixed reception. There are some people that really enjoyed it, some people not so much. Star Wars Outlaws sales were softer than expected, so Ubisoft is going to be releasing the game fairly early onto Steam, and the Steam release for Star Wars Outlaws will be coming on November the 21st. That is just a 2-month turnaround from when the game dropped on Ubisoft Connect, and that is very, very quick. Generally speaking, and going into the release of Star Wars Outlaws, I had looked at it as one of those games that is going to take a while to go on Steam. Ubisoft seems to have a 6-month turnaround for the majority of their games. You look at Crew Motorfest, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, those games all about 6 months to drop on Steam. There are other titles, the games that I think Ubisoft views in higher regard and from bigger IPs. Assassin's Creed Mirage, it has been, 11 months since that game dropped, still not available on Steam. And Assassin's Creed Valhalla took quite a bit longer. I thought Star Wars Outlaws was going to be at that level in terms of Ubisoft perceiving it to be a very big game at the level of an Assassin's Creed, and I'm sure that's what they hoped it was going to be. Things don't turn out, and I've been saying this for a while, like, Ubisoft, come on, like, we've seen this story over and over again. If Activision couldn't do it with Call of Duty, if EA couldn't do it with all of their major titles, and they came crawling back to Steam, did you really think Assassin's Creed and Star Wars Outlaws and Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, these games that were, a lot of them getting lukewarm receptions, were going to be enough to draw people on over to Ubisoft Connect, get people to sign up to your subscription service? It just was never going to happen, and it took them 5 years to finally pull the plug, because I believe this started with the Division 2 all the way back in the spring of 2019, but 5.5 years later, they're finally pulling the plug on it. But I really think this is a cause for concern for Ubisoft in general. But ultimately, this is a good thing. This is a very, very good thing. Ubisoft has been incredibly anti-consumer, and it's great to see that there's actually a top-level publisher facing legitimate consequences for it, and now they have to course correct. They're gonna give the first expansion to Assassin's Creed Shadows free for anyone that pre-orders it. Star Wars Outlaws is coming to Steam far quicker than we had expected it to, and Star Wars Outlaws is getting free content as well and a free update. It is time, Ubisoft, you gotta throw in the towel. You tried to do your greedy practices. You tried to do the wild season passes. You tried to do the ultimate editions for $130. How'd that turn out? What happened ultimately over the course of the last 5 to 7 years is Ubisoft slowly but surely, year after year, and I really do think that in 2024, and you could see it in 2023, it has reached a boiling point where the majority of Ubisoft's goodwill to the consumer has been absolutely annihilated. It has been destroyed, and I don't wish ill will on the developers, but it is so gratifying to see this. On a certain level, it is gratifying to see this because they have been anti-consumer for so long, and now they finally have to course correct. And guess what? There was a time where Ubisoft had a lot of goodwill. You want to know why they had the goodwill of the consumer? Because they earned the goodwill of the consumer. You had consistent top-level Splinter Cell game releases. You had Assassin's Creed at its absolute peak, I would say, in the late 2000s, early 2010s. Those days are gone, dead, and buried. They have destroyed all, or at least most of it. I get it that there's people that are going to defend them, and maybe they really enjoyed Star Wars Outlaws, maybe they really enjoyed Assassin's Creed. I'm not even here to say that those games are inherently just terrible and you shouldn't enjoy those games. No, I know there's a lot of people that like the newer style of Assassin's Creed games. I know there's a lot of people that enjoy the newer style of games that Ubisoft puts out. That's great. However, when you look at their practices with their Ultimate Editions, locking away content, delisting games and shutting down offline or not releasing an offline component to a game that a lot of people spent a lot of money on, this is just objectively anti-consumer, and they are finally facing the consequences for what I would say is years and years of eradicating, destroying, and completely crapping all over consumer goodwill. And I will say that once consumer goodwill has been destroyed, it's not impossible to build it back, but it is very, very, very difficult. I will say that gaming is a very what have you done for me lately kind of industry. So all of a sudden, if Assassin's Creed Shadows drops, and it's a really well-received game, and they, push back on a lot of the typical Ubisoft practices, the egregious microtransactions, the early access, the season pass content, which they're already eliminating, they're releasing it on Steam, slowly but surely, they can absolutely rebuild their goodwill. I truly believe this for a Rocksteady. If they were to go back and release a Batman game within the next 5 years and it's received very well, I think a lot of people would be screaming at the rooftops that, oh, Rocksteady's back. I think the same thing for BioWare. I do think that it's not impossible to reverse fan perception, but you need to drop something good, and that is the problem you have with a BioWare, with a Rocksteady, with a PlayStation. The development cycles these days are so long that once you have a couple of crappers in the tank, and once you have a year or two of lackluster game releases like Sony has had, where, they've dropped an Astrobot, they've dropped a Spider-Man 2, but in terms of quantity of high-level game releases, it has been severely lacking. It's difficult because the game dev cycles are so long, so for Rocksteady to rebuild that goodwill, it's going to take 5 years to bring out a new game, and then ultimately that game has to be good. For Ubisoft, it's like, okay, you can start course correcting now, but the fruits of your course correcting will not be evident in totality until the next game, until you drop a new Assassin's Creed, and that's going to take years and years, because Shadows, the fundamentals are built, and you can course correct to an extent, but you can't revitalize it all the way. You can't revitalize the Ubisoft brand all the way. You need new games that really captivate the consumer, and that does take years, unfortunately, and that's something to consider as well. And obviously, as we see now, Ubisoft is facing heavy stock market losses after AC Shadows delay, and there's an investor investigation. There's a lot of problems here, but this is a course correcting that, I've been calling for how many years? I think you can look up videos I was uploading in 2019, 2020, talking about Ubisoft and how they needed to change. A lot of the times, I'm not going to lie to you guys, when I was recording these videos, I thought I was just screaming at the rooftops for no reason, because sometimes I feel absolutely defeated. I'm just like, yo, people are still going to buy these games, they're going to make money hand over fist, and nothing's going to change. But you know what? It's actually gratifying when there is something like this that does happen, and they are facing consequences for their actions. They're facing consequences for all of their bad business practices and how they've treated the consumer, and guess what? It's a little gratifying to see. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. As always, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.